Okay, I think we need to talk about the female gaze. Was that the title of this video? It's a concept that's popped up a lot in the past, but this time things are way different. Usually it's associated with men who aren't jacked, ripped, chiseled, massive, and it's used as like a point of comparison.
I do think that that's a wee bit moronic. I mean, wouldn't it make a lot more sense that the female gaze really encapsulates the multiple different ways men can be attractive to women? Like, why is it only pigeonholed to only the girly boys? Like every woman isn't attracted to girly boys. Some women do like tall, jacked, muscular men. Like, why aren't they an example of the female gaze? Oh, I know exactly why. It's because it doesn't paint women as these emotionally thoughtful and caring, deep, introspective people that only care about the emotional states of men. It makes them just as shallow as men are. Well, newsflash. Sometimes they are.
Chris Hemsworth, shirtless, is for the male gaze. Loki is for the female gaze.
But this is what I don't understand. This is so stupid. Wouldn't it make more sense that both of them are for the female gaze? Just for different women? Some women like Chris Hemsworth. Some women like Loki. What the? Loki? I like that name. Might use that for an antagonist one of these days.
Also, I'm wearing my Medusa necklace today to represent the female gaze because she is actually the greatest character that represents the female gaze in recorded history.
Medusa? If I understand the story of Medusa correctly, she was raped by Poseidon in Athena's temple, and then Athena, who was offended by that, cursed her to be so ugly that when anyone looks at her, they turn to stone. So, like, all those snakes on her head, that's just more a reflection of how ugly she is. It's not technically the powers of, like, being a Gorgon. But, like, as history just, does its thing, and, multiple different interpretations, now she's, like, a Gorgon and stuff like that. If I remember correctly, there were 3 Gorgon sensors, and, like, now I'm just talking about fate. I'm not going to talk about fate. I'm just saying, I just don't see how in the flip Medusa of all characters is reflective of the female gaze, but, whatever.
And also, I think the first lesbian icon,
Medusa? This thing? Or this thing? I think he meant that thing. She kinda, no, that's not fair. I don't think Medusa wanted to bang Sakura. Because Lord knows Sakura did not need that in Fate. Nope. No. Sakura did not need that.
Anyways, don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But the Chris Hemsworth versus Loki, that always made sense to me. Like I understood what people are getting at with that.
It makes sense to me too. I just think it's disingenuous. It's this idea that women are so introspective and they care about these pained men who need help and whatnot. But really, what it really is this like idea that for males to be sexually attractive to women, they have to have these androgynous features and appear somewhat effeminate in some way. Notice how every different male that you used in your first clip all had like longer hair and they're all white people. I've noticed that there's never been an example of black men being a part of the female gaze. I'm not saying that it's racist. I'm just saying I have noticed that there's never been an example of a black man being used for the female gaze. But all of these androgynous, effeminate-looking white boys might say something about the way you guys characterize female sexual attraction. Maybe a smidge, just a little bit.
Dude who used to make misogynistic comedy videos. When I first saw these videos and the comments on it, I actually felt really bad for Kevin because
it's because he's not attractive. It's that simple. There's no hyperanalyzation needed for this.
I thought that it was a large-scale bullying operation.
It is.
I thought they were all gaslighting him like
they are.
Same exact experience, and then they started posting videos voicing how much they disagree with the thirst. A lot of women started posting videos basically saying that he's not the female gaze at all, and the women who are in those comments are not speaking for the entire gender. Which I felt like, okay, I'm not losing my mind.
I find it interesting that would feel the need to disagree with the thirst, to say, I don't find him attractive. I think he's ugly. Yeah, they all do. It's a bunch of lip service. Like, they're just virtue signaling. They don't find that man attractive. Notice how somehow he still finds himself being single. I wonder how that is.
Gaze. Some classic examples are, Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. Specifically, this shot. He's fully clothed and there's no water dripping off of his bare, heaving chest, which is confusing to some men that women find that attractive.
It's not confusing at all. I mean, for one, Mr. Darcy is just attractive, so like that's just not necessary. But for two, that is attractive to some women. Men aren't confused that like women don't find it attractive. They're confused as to why women are lying about not finding it attractive, because some of them do.
It's not a shirtless man in a Marvel movie. How's that supposed to be hot? But this makes sense. I get this. This is clear. It's showing us what Keira Knightley is looking at and bringing us into the attraction that she feels. So of course it's hot.
Now, someone actually explained that scene. Now, I've watched Pride and Prejudice, not like many times, but I watched it once with my friends. And in that scene, according to the person in the comment section, whose comment I can't find at the moment, and sorry, person, I'm going to take it a little bit from you. But essentially, if I remember correctly from what the comments said in that scene, that was the first time Mr. Darcy had actually touched Elizabeth, who's Keira Knightley's character. And the night before, they had spent time talking to each other, going back and forth, you know, just sharing and clashing. Like, the entire movie, for the most part, they butted heads. Like, they butted heads the moment, like, they even seen each other. And there's a lot of friction in that relationship. But when he touched her there when he was leaving, that was the first time they had physically, like, literally touched. And he's like, ooh, he's getting the jitters. He's like, oh, wait, this woman, I kind of like her, though? That's essentially what was happening in that scene. So I don't even think technically that is really even an example of the female gaze, to be honest with you. That actually seems more to visually explain to the audience that Mr. Darcy is feeling something for Elizabeth, not really to show what Elizabeth is attracted to from Mr. Darcy. So take of that what you will.
Also, and this is so very important to the entire theme and message of this video, he's not trying to be hot. Mr. Darcy isn't trying to be hot. Kevin is trying so fucking hard to be hot, and it's cringe.
That's because he's not hot.
Like, it's creepy how confident he is in what he's doing. And personally, I think that excessive confidence bordering on arrogance while making a TikTok thirst trap is icky.
My friend, I do appreciate the confirmation that I've been trying to tell people for bloody years. Thank you, I do appreciate you. That's why I titled the video the way I titled it. It's here. Like, it's subtle. If you blink, you miss it, but it's what I've been trying to tell people. If you're confident, and you're not attractive, you appear as creepy.
I say that all high and mighty, but look at me. This is embarrassing. I don't make dog shit videos like this anymore because it's cringe, but My fault.
Look, metrosexual person I do not know, whose sexuality I am incredibly confused about. I don't know if you're gay or not. Listen, fam. Obviously, whatever you did is just going to be read so much differently than what Kevin over here is doing. Because you are an attractive person, alright? Like, I can pattern recognize. Like, you are the quote-unquote female gaze, like, character archetype that you showed us. Like, that is you. So it's like, you're not really trying to be hot as much as you are. Like, you just are an attractive person. I mean, you can literally do anything and still find women to just like you because you just are handsome. All of this stuff, like, I mean, it's goofy because, like, you're putting more effort than you really need to, sure. But, like, the problem isn't the fact that you're trying to be attractive. The problem is just the amount of effort you put into stylize this video to, like, upload it to TikTok for people to just click like on.
And also, a lot of people are bringing this up. Kevin doesn't even dress well.
Even if he did, he would just be an ugly person that dresses well. He'd still be ugly. Like, you can put a dress on a pig and it's still a pig.
It's not like he's a not conventionally attractive person who dresses really well and has this great personality. He doesn't really have a great personality. All he is not conventionally attractive. And even even with all that being said, he could still be hot.
If any woman said that he could still be, I guess that would be if he had a lot of money, maybe, perhaps. Probably not even then. In fact, if we use Pride and Prejudice ourselves again, there was indeed a character who was short and weird and goofy looking, and Elizabeth literally ran away from him when he proposed. I'm sorry.
In a female gazy way, he still could be if he wasn't trying so fucking hard, and that's what everybody's talking about right now. He's just trying so hard. Like, let's make this very clear. I'm not saying that his looks are what makes him ugly by any means.
Yes, yes, you are. And this is the thing. Like, I don't understand why you're doing it. This is the thing that a lot of women do. Is like, they want to pretend that the obvious isn't obvious. They want to pretend that there's something deeper and more complex going on. No, you're shallow. And all the women are also being shallow. He's ugly. Just say it. He's not attractive. Don't say that's not what they guess it is.
It's who he is portraying himself as a person, which is just deeply more hurtful. So, my fault. Sorry. But that is what it is. That's why people are like turning on him so harshly right now.
But see, you would have to be remarkably disingenuous to not recognize that he is clearly joking. He is clearly doing a bit. He knows he's not an attractive person. That's why it looks goofy. How do I know this? Because you keep playing TikToks of him making bad jokes. I don't think they're funny, but I know they're jokes. So all of a sudden, now he's not joking? This is an honest portrayal of him? Like legitimate? No, he's an ugly person doing things that other hot people would do to highlight the fact, or to highlight the juxtaposition of an unattractive person doing things that attractive people do. Like, it's that subversion. That's the comedy. That's the joke. Why do I have to explain that? Why do I have to explain that?
For instance, Nick Kroll, another person not conventionally attractive. But look at him in this video and you'll see why Harry Styles tongue-kissed him after spitting on hot boy Chris Pine.
But this is an awful, awful bloody example. Using like Harry Styles, who is another like androgynous, effeminate male that feminists like to swoon over. Just because a man likes another man doesn't mean that women would like him. So, and just because a man dislikes one man doesn't mean women don't like him. Like, this doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything.
Is there a voice she really loves?
I don't think she minds the hormone monster. I think she kind of likes that one.
The main part of this whole recipe of being hot in a female gazy way is to not come across like a frat boy or predator. And while Kevin isn't the frat boy at all, he's forgetting about the second part, which is creepy.
I do find it rather interesting that we can look at an ugly man and consider him to be a predator because he's trying to be sexually attractive.
My favorite example of the female gaze in media is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It's this French film about the relationship between a portrait artist and her subject. The film is largely about the female gaze as the woman being painted feels seen by her artist, obviously, but then later the tables are turned as the artist realizes that the subject she's been painting has been observing her just as much.
This is remarkably stupid, so much so that I am not going to give him the luxury of explaining lesbian attraction is an example of the female gaze. I guess it would ipso facto have to be because only lesbians can be females, but it would completely ignore the fact that straight women aren't lesbians. So why are we discussing this when overwhelmingly that's not reflective of the actual women that are looking at males?
Compare the subtlety and like sensual, raw, burning lesbian power in that to what Kevin is doing here. And it blows my mind that he's become somewhat attached to this term of female gaze. I truly believe that his confidence, while not being conventionally attractive, is what made people attracted to him in the first place.
You do realize that you are just then confirming that the only reason people find him attractive is because he's not attractive. It becomes a little bit of a contradiction, isn't it? I mean, wouldn't the more simpler response be they're lying?
And the fact that he's so not what people would expect made it more fun to thirst in the comments and be supportive of him, you know?
So, they're mocking him. He's a clown. It's not an honest portrayal of their feelings. It's a joke.
Because early on, when you have that confidence without knowing what the reaction would be, or with the assumption that the reaction would be negative, that confidence is attractive. But now that he's been getting those comments for so long, and it's basically his brand right now, he's no longer doing it in that way. And it's coming across as a confidence of somebody who expects people to have a thirsty response. And that is what's giving a lot of people the ick.
So Kevin's a clown. He's a clown. People were mocking him. And then when he started to believe his own hype, it stopped being funny anymore. Because now it's actually creepy. Because an ugly, unattractive man believes that he is attractive. So again, I must thank you for confirming that being unattractive as a dude is indeed the marker of being creepy. But to be fair, Kevin actually does just look like a creepy person, so...
It seemed like he was an underdog. It felt more likable. And that's my take on the female gaze. As a male.
In this day and age, my brother, I'm certain the jury is still out on that one.
But what do you think? My audience is primarily made up of women, so...
And why do you think that is? I'm certain it has absolutely nothing to do with the female gaze. So, essentially you guys are probably curious as to why I decided to make this video. Well, I explained it in bits and pieces, but essentially, I liked the confirmation. I did enjoy it oh so much. Having our androgynous friend here explain to us that being creepy is kind of all in being an ugly person. It's kind of what that is. That's kind of what that was. This whole Kevin female gaze nonsense is just that. Nonsense. Female sexuality is mostly mental. So women kind of want whatever they want. Whatever rustles their jimmies, whatever, There are different trends that we can obviously point to. There are certainly lots of different facts we can ascertain. But for the most part, women have preferences like men have preferences. In other words, women are just like men. Some people are shallow. Some people are deeper and more introspective. It's just being a person. It's just being a human. Creating this concept of the female gaze and the male gaze as if the female gaze is more introspective and more emotional and more complex is nonsense. It's like trying to make women more mysterious, give them more mystique than they actually deserve. They're not. They're human beings. And they find some things attractive and they find some things they don't find attractive. And this Kevin thing, it's just him being a clown. And by clown, I don't necessarily mean with all of the makeup and all that, but I mean someone who humiliates himself for the enjoyment of other people as they join in his humiliation as well. Kevin is an ugly person. Sorry, he is, by every single marker. If you want to disagree, you're lying. He looks like a creeper. He looks like one of those dudes that look like in the back of the classroom, okay? He looks like it. I'm sorry, he does. See if he fits that archetype. I didn't make him, take them up with God. And as such, the obvious joke of him doing his little sexy nonsense is a commentary on the juxtaposition between being an attractive person and not being an attractive person. That's what that is, okay? And it highlights the hypocrisy of a lot of young ladies and them just, I'm gonna be honest, lying. Because they are just lying. Or they're in on the joke. The female gaze is just like the male gaze. Sometimes there is a focus on attractive people in films to highlight that they are sexually attractive. That's it. That's all it is. Everything else that's sprinkled onto it is a bunch of feminist nonsense that honestly doesn't need to exist. So that being said, I just hope you guys got something out of today's video. And if you did, you know, man, go and click the like button. And shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you cool cats soon. Adios.